You stand in a royal garden, surrounded by buzzing beehives of straw and wood, their hum a strange melody. Dressed in a wicker mask and thick cloak, you're a medieval royal beekeeper. If a royal dies, you must tell the bees, or they'll revolt. Your life is tied to these divine creatures and their bizarre secrets. As a royal beekeeper in the medieval era, you tend hives on royal estates, producing honey and beeswax, treasures worth their weight in gold. Your job goes beyond gathering sweet nectar. You follow odd rituals to keep bees loyal and content. Honey sweetens royal feasts, while beeswax lights sacred ceremonies. Yet, your life is a hive of challenges, dodging stings, thwarting thieves, and even wielding bees as weapons. Every day buzzes with surprises, blending skill, superstition, and royal duty. You grow up in a humble peasant family on a royal estate where bees are treated like tiny buzzing treasures. From the time you can toddle, you're hooked on following your parents to the apiary, watching them tend hives woven from straw, wicker, or sturdy wood. The hives hum with life, and you're mesmerized by the golden glint of honey inside. It's a world where bees aren't just bugs, they're practically royalty themselves. As a kid, you soak up wild stories about bees having near-human smarts, maybe even chatting with spirits. One day, you catch your mom whispering to a hive about your grandpa's passing, her voice soft and serious. It leaves you scratching your head thinking, why do bees need to know about Grandpa? The mystery of these creatures pulls you in deeper, making every trip to the hives feel like an adventure. Your first attempt to sneak a taste of honey ends in disastrous sharp sting and a swollen hand. Your dad just chuckles, saying, "That's the bee's handshake, kid." You learn fast that bees demand respect, but they also teach you something bigger. They're symbols of hard work and order, like a miniature kingdom buzzing with purpose. You start to see them as tiny soldiers, loyal to their queen and their hive. Soon, you're pitching in, helping your parents build new hives. You mix ash and cow dung yes, it's as gross as it sounds, and slather it on the hives to keep them from rotting in the damp medieval weather. While you work, you love watching bees zip in and out, their legs dusted with pollen, carrying sparkling nectar from nearby wildflower fields. It's like they're hauling treasure back to their fortress. One spring, you notice the bees moving in a weird swaying pattern, almost like they're dancing to the breeze. Your mom says it's their way of talking to each other, and you're floored by how clever they are. Then you hear a tale that blows your mind. A nun named Gobnight once unleashed a swarm to chase off cattle thieves, proving bees could be fierce warriors. From that moment, you're convinced your future lies with these incredible creatures, buzzing with secrets and strength. As you hit your teenage years, your parents teach you to craft beehives from oak or pine, shaping them twice as long as wide for happy, productive bees. You get your hands dirty mixing ash and cow dung, a smelly but effective paste, to coat the hives, shielding them from harsh medieval weather. It's messy work, but you love building cozy homes for your buzzing buddies. You're starting to feel like a real beekeeper, ready to rule the hive. Your parents drill one golden rule into you: always leave 1/10 of the honey after the summer harvest. Skimp on this, and the bees might throw a fit, ditching the hive or worse. You learn to spot healthy bees by their honey, which should be clear, pale gold, and smell like a summer meadow. Once, you sneak a taste straight from the hive, and the sweet, sticky bliss is worth the sting that puffs up your face for days. To check hives without getting swarmed, you master using smoke from dried cow dung, more dung, to calm the bees. It's like casting a spell, watching them settle as the smoky haze drifts over. Your parents share a quirky tip. Bees love music, so clapping rhythms or humming folk tunes keeps them cheerful. You try it, feeling silly, but the bees seem to buzz along and you're hooked on their odd charm. You see the hive as a bustling society, with the queen as a regal monarch and worker bees as her loyal subjects. One day, you watch in awe as the bees gang up on a bold mouse sniffing too close to their hive, chasing it off like tiny winged warriors. It hits you. These creatures are fierce, organized, and downright inspiring. From then on, you're set on becoming the best beekeeper around, dreaming of a future filled with honey and hives. Your knack for handling bees and your obvious love for the craft catch the eye of the estate manager, who puts your name forward to the royal court. Before you know it, you're summoned to the grand castle, your heart pounding like a drum as you stand before the king and queen. The king himself hands you a wicker basket mask, the official badge of a royal beekeeper, and you feel like you've just been knighted. It's a moment of pride, but the weight of the responsibility hits you hard. You're tasked with overseeing hundreds of hives sprawled across the royal estate, a buzzing empire under your care. Your honey will sweeten lavish feasts, and your beeswax will light up sacred ceremonies, making you a key player in the royal scene. But the pressure is real. If the bees decide to up and leave, you're out of a job, maybe even out of favor. You can't help but wonder if you're up to the task of keeping these tiny, finicky creatures happy. The court gives you a peculiar instruction. You must inform the bees about every major royal event, from weddings to funerals, or risk their wrath. You're told it's an ancient tradition, tied to the belief that bees are tied to the kingdom's fate. You also hear that King Charlemagne, centuries ago, ordered every estate to keep bees, demanding 2/3 of the honey for the crown. It sinks in that your role isn't just about wrangling bees, it's about serving the entire kingdom. As you settle into your new role, you start to feel like you're part of a grander bee kingdom, where the queen bee reigns as fiercely as the human king. Your hives are your domain, and you're proud to be their keeper, even if it means whispering royal gossip to a bunch of insects. The mix of honor and oddity in your job makes you chuckle, but you're ready to prove you're the best beekeeper the court has ever seen. This is your chance to shine, one hive at a time. Now that you're officially a royal beekeeper, your training kicks into high gear, starting with studying the Geoponika, a 10th century Byzantine farming manual packed with beekeeping secrets. It's like a sacred text for bee nerds, teaching you tricks passed down through centuries. You learn to move hives at night, wrapping them in animal hides to keep the bees snug and the combs intact. It's nerve-wracking work, sneaking through the dark with a buzzing bundle, but you feel like a bee whisperer mastering an ancient art. You're taught to protect yourself from stings by using smoke from hops, leaves, or dried cow dung, a smelly but magical way to calm the bees. Puffing the smoke over the hive feels like casting a spell, making the bees drowsy and docile while you poke around. You also learn to spot sick bees. If the hive smells funky or the bees fly like they're half asleep, you've got to remove the sick ones fast to save the colony. It's a bit like being a doctor for tiny winged patients. To keep your bees alive through harsh winters, you master feeding them honey mixed with wine or barley cake studded with raisins, a gourmet treat for your buzzing friends. You discover that bees thrive on wildflower fields, so you plant patches of colorful blooms to lure them in. An old beekeeper tells you bees can predict the weather. If they fly low, rain's coming, and you start watching their flights like a medieval meteorologist. These little creatures keep surprising you with their cleverness. Your training includes crafting candles from beeswax, a prized skill since your wax lights up royal feasts and church altars. You're amazed at how the golden wax transforms into glowing tapers, each one a small miracle. You're also taught that bees hate laziness, attacking any slackers in the hive, which makes you respect their no-nonsense work ethic. Over time, you stop seeing bees as mere insects. They become your partners, tiny allies in a buzzing world you're proud to be part of. Your days as a royal beekeeper start at dawn, when you roll out of bed and head straight to the hives to make sure your buzzing charges are safe. You puff smoke from dried cow dung over the hives, a stinky trick that calms the bees so you can peek inside without starting a riot. You're on pest patrol, checking for moths or sneaky mice trying to raid the honey. In winter, you make sure the bees have enough water and food, like a doting parent tucking them in with extra honey. By midday, you're tromping through wildflower fields, eyeing the blooms to ensure your bees have plenty to munch on. You plant patches of thyme and other wildflowers, turning the estate into a bee buffet to keep them buzzing happily. Dressed in your protective gira, wicker, basket mask, thick cloak, and leather gloves, you look like a knight ready to battle a dragon, not a swarm. Once, You forgot the smoke and got stung so badly you had to slather plantain juice on your welts, learning the hard way to never skip that step. In the afternoon, you're back at the hives, patching them up with a mix of ash and cow dung to keep rot at bay. You check the honey, grinning when it's clear, pale gold, and stretches into long, sticky threads, a sign of top-notch quality. It's satisfying work, knowing your honey will grace royal tables. You wrap up the day feeling like you've kept your tiny kingdom in order, ready for whatever the bees throw at you next. Evenings are for unwinding, swapping bee tails with other estate workers over a fire. You treat yourself to bread slathered with honey, a luxury most folks only dream of, and sometimes brew mead, the honey wine that livens up royal feasts. At night, the gentle hum of the hives lulls you like a lullaby, though you've got odd duties, like whispering to the bees about a princess's wedding to keep them from bolting. You even try singing to them once, chuckling when they seem to slow their flight, as if they're your biggest fans. You keep a little notebook, jotting down hive details like a medieval scientist, and learn to read the bees' behavior. High flyers mean sunny days ahead. Sometimes, you join royal festivals, swelling with pride when your honey sweetens the feast or your beeswax candles light up the palace. It's a strange, busy life, but every day feels like a small victory, proving you're the master of this buzzing world. Being a royal beekeeper isn't all honey and sunshine. You face dangers that keep you on your toes. Honey thieves sneak onto the estate at night, bold enough to raid your hives for the sweet gold. You catch one once and, in a moment of brilliance, unleash a swarm to chase them off, channeling the legendary nun Gobnate, who used bees as her personal army. The thieves scatter, screaming, and you can't help but grin at your buzzing backup. Your hives are under constant threat from nature's bandits. Mice nibble at the combs, foxes sniff around, and you've even heard of bears lumbering out of the forest for a honey fix. You set traps and check the hives daily, turning into a one-person defense squad. Winter is your toughest foe, a brutal season that can starve your bees if you don't stock enough honey. You lose a swarm one freezing year, and the empty hive feels like a punch to the gut, like losing a loyal friend. Sick bees are another headache. You learn to spot trouble when the hive smells off or the bees act sluggish, quickly removing the sick ones or using vinegar to zap pests. You've been stung so badly once after a clumsy hive check that you were laid up for a week, swollen and sore, but you still couldn't wait to get back to your bees. Some superstitious folk whisper that bees are witches, too clever for mere insects, and you have to bite your tongue to keep from arguing. Their suspicion only makes you more protective of your winged charges. Every move you make has to be precise. One wrong step, like disturbing the hive too much, and the whole swarm might pack up and leave. You also guard the secret of making mead, the royal honey wine, like it's a state treasure, knowing it's a privilege that sets you apart. These challenges test your grit, but they also make you love the job more, proving you're tough enough to keep the kingdom's bees buzzing strong. Your life as a royal beekeeper is punctuated by moments that stick with you, like the time you supplied dozens of honey jars for a princess's wedding feast. The royal kitchen buzzed with excitement as your golden nectar sweetened cakes and drinks, and you felt like a hero behind the scenes. Every jar was a testament to your hard work, and you couldn't stop smiling, knowing your bees made the celebration sweeter. It was a day when your hives truly shone, stealing a bit of the royal spotlight. One night, you took on the thrilling task of moving a new hive, creeping through the darkness with the hive wrapped in animal hides. Your heart raced as the bees hummed inside, and every step felt like a scene from a daring adventure. You set the hive in its new spot without a hitch, grinning like you'd just conquered a quest. That quiet victory under the stars made you feel like the master of your buzzing domain. Then came the somber duty of informing the bees about a king's death, a tradition you found bizarre but followed faithfully. As you whispered the news to the hives, you were stunned to see the bees slow their flight, almost as if they were mourning. It gave you chills, making you wonder if these creatures really understood the kingdom's sorrows. The moment turned your quirky job into something almost mystical, connecting you to the bees in a way you'd never expected. You've also had your share of awe-inspiring sights, like the time you opened a hive to find a perfect comb, its hexagonal cells gleaming like a natural masterpiece. It was as if the bees had crafted a work of art just for you, and you couldn't stop marveling at their precision. Another highlight was joining a royal ceremony where your beeswax candles cast a warm glow over the hall, their light dancing on the faces of nobles. You stood in the shadows, chest puffed with pride, knowing your work illuminated the kingdom's grandeur. Helping a monk craft beeswax candles for a church was another unforgettable experience. He called you God's friend for your skill, and you blushed at the praise. You also learned to shape beeswax into small figures for religious offerings, each tiny sculpture a labor of love. Once, you faced a furious swarm after someone forgot to tell the bees about a royal event, and calming them down felt like taming a storm. Through it all, your proudest moment was when your honey helped heal a royal family member, proving your bees were as vital to the kingdom as any knight. Your life as a royal beekeeper weaves together skill, knowledge, and a deep respect for nature, creating a tapestry as intricate as the combs in your hives. Beyond supplying honey and beeswax, you preserve the quirky medieval traditions, like whispering royal news to the bees, that make your role so unique. You've come to see bees as more than insects. They're tiny emblems of hard work and order, buzzing with lessons about loyalty and community. Each time your beeswax candles flicker at a royal ceremony, casting a golden glow, your heart swells with pride, knowing your hands helped light the kingdom's grandest moments. Though you're just a beekeeper, you feel like a vital thread in the kingdom's fabric, connected to its triumphs and rituals. Sometimes you pause to wonder, without bees, would the kingdom's feasts be as sweet, its altars as bright? You leave behind a legacy of thriving hives and jars of honey so pure they seem to capture sunlight itself. As you pass down your craft to the next generation, you share the mystical story tales of bees, mourning kings, or chasing thieves that make your work feel like magic. Looking back, you're content, knowing your efforts sweetened the kingdom's tables and illuminated its sacred spaces, contributing to its prosperity in your quiet way. Your life, filled with the hum of bees and the scent of honey, has been one of purpose and wonder. Could you live a life so intertwined with these buzzing marvels, where every day is a dance with nature's tiniest warriors? Your journey as a royal beekeeper has been a remarkable blend of skill, devotion, and reverence for the natural world, crafting a legacy as enduring as the honey you harvest. You've not only provided the kingdom with golden nectar and glowing beeswax, but also upheld the strange, sacred traditions of the medieval age, like murmuring royal secrets to your hives. Bees have taught you they're far more than insects. They're symbols of diligence and harmony, their tiny wings carrying lessons that echo through the ages. Watching your beeswax candles illuminate grand ceremonies fills you with quiet pride, knowing your work has touched the heart of the realm. You've become an essential part of the kingdom, your hives a humming thread in its vibrant tapestry, sustaining its feasts and rituals with sweetness and light. The thought lingers, without your bees, the palace tables would lack their luster, and its altars would dim. You pass down your craft with care, sharing tales of bees that mourned kings or routed thieves, ensuring the magic of your work lives on. As you reflect on your life, steeped in the scent of honey and the hum of hives, you feel a deep contentment, certain that your quiet labor has enriched the kingdom's story, leaving behind thriving hives that buzz with life and promise.